Good morning, Mark Scheibmeyer, the city's hearing examiner. I've been asked to convene a public hearing to consider an application for the construction of a new Buddhist temple at 14334 Yelm Highway Southeast, replacing the existing temple and other facilities. This bears the city's number LD 2026-0068. Again, this is a public hearing for three purposes. It's to hear from city staff, Mr. Caller, and perhaps others, explaining the nature of this application and the city's response and recommendations, followed then by an opportunity for the applicant through its consultant or agent, Ross Jarvis, to respond to the city's recommendations, followed then by an opportunity for the public to testify after having heard the presentation by the other parties. So not many instructions regarding that. We'll hear from the other parties, and then we'll determine if any individuals wish to testify regarding this. If so, we'll have you come to the podium, be sworn, and offer testimony. This is a slightly unusual hearing in that it is a mix of city and county regulations that's guiding this. It's being referred to as a special use permit, or I think if it was a city matter, it would be a conditional use permit. The two are synonymous. The county uses one term, the city uses another, and this is property that until recently was within the county, now within the city. And so we have this intermix of regulations, some county, some city guiding its development. And also on the edge of town where many city services currently do not exist. All of that comes together in an unusual way. And so we'll hear more about that as the application is discussed. All those who do testify today will do so under oath. That begins with city staff. So, Mr. Caller, let's have you sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. We're here for the Wat Prachum Rangsi Buddhist Temple. Please correct me if I got that wrong. And they propose to construct a new temple complex at 14334 Yelm Highway Southeast, Yelm, Washington. This development will replace the existing temple residence, accessory structures with a modern facility. The new temple building will feature a main sanctuary, a residential area for monks, and a storage area. The project site will also include adding a new stormwater facility, septic system, and a new well. The parcel was annexed into the city in March 2026. And per the interlocal agreement between Thurston County and the city of Yelm, this proposal will be processed by the city of Yelm under the Thurston County Rural Residential Resource 1-5 zoning code. The property is a 5-acre parcel located, again, at the address listed above. The site contains an established Buddhist temple and associated improvements and is situated along the boundary of Yelm city limits and the urban growth area. The surrounding area consists primarily of undeveloped land and scattered single-family residences. The property is in a transitional area between C2 heavy commercial to the north and to the northwest, and R6 moderate density residential zoning to the south and east. The subject property itself is zoned R6 and is developed within existing religious institutional use. Notice of the land use application was emailed to local state agencies and tribes and mailed to property owners within 500 feet of the site on November 14th, 2025. And during the comment period, comments were received from Squaxin Tribe and WSDOT. From Squaxin Tribe, the Cultural Resource Department responded with a letter of no concern, but did request that an inadvertent discovery plan always be kept on the project site. And Washington Department of Transportation responded that an access construction permit should be applied for. However, the project is now within the city limits and outside of WSDOT authority to permit access. In response to the comment from Squaxin Island Tribe, the city of Yelm will require that the applicant utilize an inadvertent discovery plan, and no other comments were received. Notice of the date and time of the public hearing was provided on June 18th, 2026, and published in the Nisqually Valley News. The property is classified by Thurston County Zoning Code Title 20 TCC as being within a rural residential resource, 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. This district allows churches as a primary use subject to the applicable standards. The minimum property line setbacks for all structures larger than 200 square feet are 10 feet from the front property line, 5 feet from the side, and 20 feet from the rear. The proposal is consistent with the general zoning standards, and compliance with all applicable zoning requirements will be confirmed during building permit review. For the State Environmental Policy Act, the SEPA procedures adopted by Thurston County, this proposal is categorically exempt from SEPA review. It does not involve work conducted over or within water bodies, does not include commercial buildings exceeding 8,000 square feet, and does not involve more than 500 cubic yards of fill or excavation, does not include agricultural buildings exceeding 20,000 square feet, and does not propose a parking facility containing more than 30 parking spaces. And it doesn't include any underground storage tanks exceeding 10,000 gallons. Accordingly, the proposal is exempt from SEPA review and no environmental checklist or threshold determination is required. For critical areas, Title 24 of Thurston County Code establishes a regulatory framework to protect critical areas within Thurston County, including critical aquifer recharge areas, which Yelm is. The subject property is mapped Category 1 critical aquifer recharge area, extreme aquifer sensitivity, and Title 24 of Thurston County Code establishes regulations for the protection of critical areas, including those aquifer recharge areas. Protection of groundwater resources is addressed through compliance with the Stormwater Management Manual of Western Washington and applicable wastewater treatment requirements. Decommissioning of the existing well will be subject to review and approval by Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. For fish and wildlife habitat conservation areas, the Mazama pocket gopher is listed as a federally protected species. Because the project is vested under Thurston County Code, it is covered by the Thurston County Habitat Conservation Plan. On March 27, 2026, the project received a Thurston County Habitat Conservation Program Certificate of Inclusion. The project is proposed to impact approximately 24,310 square feet of Mazama pocket gopher habitat and purchased 0.893 mitigation credits at a cost of $23,823.80. Issuance of the certificate of inclusion confirms that the project is covered under the Habitat Conservation Plan and is subject to the applicable avoidance, minimization, and mitigation measures required by the program. This certificate is included as Exhibit E. For special use analysis, 1 dwelling unit per 5 acre zoning district allows churches with approval of a special use permit by the hearing examiner, subject to the following general standards. The proposed use at the location shall comply with Thurston County Comprehensive Plan and all applicable federal, state, regional, and Thurston County laws or plans. The proposed temple is a community serving institution that provides religious, cultural, education, and social services to area residents. The use supports comprehensive plan policies, encouraging a diverse range of community facilities and services that contribute to health, cultural enrichment, and social well-being of the community. The proposal is therefore consistent with the goals and policies of both the Yelm Comprehensive Plan and Thurston County Comprehensive Plan. The underlying zoning district, the proposed use shall comply with the general purposes and intent of applicable zoning district regulations and sub-area plans. The subject property is zone rural residential, and churches are a permissible use under special use standards. Number 3, no applicable or no application for special use shall be approved unless a specific finding is made that the proposed special use is appropriate in the location for which it is proposed. We find that the proposed use will not result in substantial adverse effects on adjacent properties, neighborhood character, the natural environment, traffic conditions, parking, public property or facilities, or other matters affecting public health, safety, and welfare. The subject property is already developed and operated as a temple use. The site is screened from surrounding properties by an existing privacy wall and gated entrance, limiting visual impacts on adjacent uses. Additionally, the property is situated between moderate density residential and heavy commercial zoning districts, serving as a transitional buffer between these differing land use patterns. The proposal is not anticipated to generate traffic volumes that would adversely affect the surrounding transportation network, and an adequate on-site parking and circulation are available to accommodate the proposed use. The use is consistent with the established character of the site and surrounding area and is not expected to result in significant impacts to neighboring properties or public facilities. The use will be adequately served by and will not impose an undue burden on any of the improvements, facilities, utilities, or services existing or planned to serve the area. The proposed temple will be served by a new on-site well and septic system designed to accommodate the anticipated occupancy of the facility. Because the property is located outside public water and sewer service areas, water supply and wastewater treatment will be provided through private systems, subject to review and approval by Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. While the proposal will increase demand for water and wastewater services compared to existing conditions, staff finds that these impacts can be adequately accommodated through the proposed on-site systems and will not impose an undue burden on existing or planned public facilities. Concurrency with impact fees. For water, they'll have their private water, and sewer, they'll have their private sewer system. And with transportation, the traffic generation memo provided by the applicant expects only to generate 3 p.m. peak hour trips. Pursuant to the Yelm Municipal Code, the project site the project is subject to the city's traffic facilities charge. The traffic facilities charge will be calculated based on the estimated 3 peak p.m. Hour trips, assessed in accordance with the fee schedule in effect at the time of building permit issuance. For fire, concurrency with fire infrastructure is satisfied through the payment of a fire impact fee, which shall be based in accordance with the fee schedule in effect at the time of building permit issuance. For frontage improvements and site access, the YMC establishes requirements for arterial and collector street access. The subject site was previously located within the county and has since been annexed to the city. As a result, existing access conditions were established under county jurisdiction, and no new frontage improvements are required as part of this proposal. With our staff recommendations, staff finds that the proposed project meets applicable criteria. Should the hearing examiner grant approval of the special use permit, the following conditions shall be applied to ensure consistency with applicable regulations and to minimize impacts on critical areas.
Thank you, Ms. Kohler. A few questions in no particular order. Why the new well? Has an existing well, it's a continuing use. Why decommission an existing well and construct a new well?
The comments we received from Thurston County, and the applicant might know more about that than I do, but the communication matrix provided by Thurston County, I believe, said the existing well is inadequate to serve more use, or it would be undersized for the expansion. But I'm more than happy to be corrected if that is correct.
There's an interesting crossroad.
I can speak to that if you.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Uh, There's an interesting crossroads in this mix of city and county regulations and the county assuming responsibility and therefore to what extent, I'm sorry, the city assuming responsibility and to what extent the city's concurrency needs need to be addressed. Poorly explained. Where I'm going with that is water and sewer. As the city has now annexed this and other properties into the city, presumably it's with the intent of expanding utilities to that new portion of the city. And so I'm wondering what the city's viewpoint is on inviting standalone private utilities in an area where you're ultimately wanting to establish public utilities. I see it fine as doing so on the short end, but do you want to condition projects to where they are required to connect to the public facilities once they become available? So in this project, you have not conditioned approval on the facility converting its septic system to a sewer connection or its well to a utility, water utility connection if they are extended to this part of the city. And I'm just curious, why not, or what sort of thinking, if any thought has been had about those issues? And does the city have policies relative to that?
Yes, and we have our city engineer Reza here as well. But I will attempt, and Reza, please correct me if I misspeak.
Well, let's have you sworn as well. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so you can tag team this response.
So with the code as it's written right now, it's any development within 200 feet of a water or sewer service line must connect.
Okay, so that's hardwired into the system. You don't need it as a condition of project approval. It simply exists on its own.
To be clear, so if the only time that we request it when there is a new system or there is a default on the existing system. So if the existing system is still functional, we don't require anything. But if there is upsizing or modifying the system, then at the time, then we check whether it's within the 200 feet. And then if it is, they must connect to the city sewer and water.
And that generalized policy, that citywide policy, you're comfortable with on this application as well, that it'd be, if approved and if allowed its own well and septic, you're comfortable with them retaining those unless utilities arrive to the site and they need to make adjustments.
Correct.
Okay. And in that sense, it would be no different than any other property in the city. Okay. The traffic impact analysis relies upon the ICE to determine traffic impacts, and it results in a determination that at PM peak hour there'll be 3 trips hourly. Does the city have any other? That's based upon a code for churches, which is churches can be so many different things. Is there any reason to think that this facility will have a higher or lower traffic than other like facilities that are grouped within that in the ICE?
I would need to look at the traffic generation report. So that
Let me try that in a slightly different way. Based upon the historic use of this property and the fact that it is not significantly changing, based upon the city's awareness or knowledge of the existing facility, does it have any reason to think that a 3 PM peak hour count is high or low?
I would agree with the traffic generation report.
Okay. Do you have any sense of the number of individuals who will reside on a regular basis at the new facility?
Is it all right if I defer to the applicant on that?
I just wondered if the city had any information. Again, we'll come back, but okay. And in terms of improvements, a little bit like my questions about utilities, is the issue of frontage improvements as the city acquires responsibility for this new area of town and seeks to establish it at urban levels of function. And presumably then, I would expect the city to be envisioning an extension of multimodal transport to the city's edge, whether that might be bike lanes or sidewalks or whatever. In this case, the city is not imposing those. And I'm wondering what the consequence would be if the city begins to now develop surrounding properties and imposes a sidewalk on a property to the east or west that now is not connected because this project has not been imposed a sidewalk. What's the thinking there?
With the interlocal agreement and processing applications through the Thurston County Code, I believe we waived our right to request those frontage improvements for this parcel.
Okay, let's discuss that. You may have.
Can I add something to it?
Yes.
Anderson?
Before I comment on
Sure,
that,
yeah.
you can.
Usually when we have the opportunity to build a sidewalk, we build it as we go. Basically, as you said, if the neighbor property developed and we have now the sidewalk and bike lane, so at that point we require them to connect them somehow. Usually that case is going to be get back to the city, and the city acquire the right of way required from the property. Basically, at that point we purchase the right of way required for the sidewalk, because at this point we can require, my understanding. The only thing that we make sure that no building or a major problem or major structure is going to be built on the potential right of way at this point. So if we eventually in, I don't know, 10 years or 5 years, when we have the capacity to build so we require them and potentially just move their wall or facilities back then.
Well, okay, let's, that collectively raises several things I need to better understand. Is there available right of way? Or separately, private ownership within which a sidewalk could be constructed on this site? Or is the perimeter wall located in such a way as to preclude the ability to construct a sidewalk?
I don't know that we have the exact measurement on, it wasn't.
My understanding was that we potentially require some right of way to build according to the city's standard. We may be able to compromise and just change the detail if we can. I have to get back to the details, the exact right of way that we have right now and figure out. But my initial understanding was that we potentially require some right of way from them to build our sidewalk according to our detail or our standard.
Which gets back to what I was about to respond to Mr. Kohler on, whatever you have agreed with the county. I'm not bound by any interlocal agreements between the city and county. That's between those two parties, but it's not binding me. And so I'm empowered to impose conditions necessary to achieve the list of requirements that the county has imposed. And whether or not the two parties agreed to something else, I'm not held to that agreement. So we need to have this larger conversation. We need to get free of whatever the city and county have talked about, thought about, and get back on the conditions required to achieve a special use permit. And in order to achieve those conditions, is there any reason to be thinking about the requirement of frontage improvement so as to be consistent with the development of surrounding properties. And I'm just curious if the city has a response to that specific question.
With the frontage improvements on this parcel being at the very edge of town, it would take a long time for sidewalks to connect to that. In this case, if this was being processed by the city alone, what we would generally do in this situation is have the applicant agree to sign a deferral of frontage improvements. Usually those are for 15 years. And at the time that the city does construct that new roadway, the applicant can either then build it themselves or pay and have the city do it.
And so,
They would basically pay the city for, I'm probably not explaining it the best, but they would basically pay the city back for those frontage improvements.
where I lost you is I get the concept. I didn't quite understand how it would be applied or not applied in this instance. Are you suggesting an additional condition, or is that something that happens pursuant to the city's regulations? Or Mr. Cooper wants to speak, I think. Let's add Mr. Cooper to the mix. Mr. Cooper, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have some additional comment that you were wanting to make?
Well, I don't know if this is helpful or not. I hear where you're coming from, of course. But just to back up a step, the reason we're at this place with this particular project and our interlocal agreement was designed basically to provide fairness to the applicant so that they were already being processed under that code. And we didn't want to change the rules in midstream. So
That is an interesting perspective.
yeah, because they were already, we only got 10 applications, I believe, from Thurston County that were in process that we annexed. This might be the only one where the frontage improvements is an issue. So I don't think it's going to be a big problem for the city in the long haul, but I wouldn't, from the standpoint of us imposing conditions, I wouldn't think that we would have the ability on our side to ask for frontage improvements or even a deferral.
Okay. So it's two things. It's one, it's why it's not found in the conditions of approval, and two, why the city would not join or support any thought I had of imposing it because it feels it has an obligation both to the county and to the applicant to process in a certain viewpoint, a certain approach.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have frontage improvements, but I mean, the intent of the ILA was to honor, what the applicant originally applied for.
Okay. A very unique setting. And my comments have nothing to do with the intended use rather than with policies relating to concurrency, complete streets, everything else that the city and other cities seek to achieve. Okay. Those are my questions to city staff. So we've heard now from city staff. We'll turn then to the applicant. Mr. Kohler, do you know who I should anticipate hearing from in that regard?
Yes, you should, I believe Regine and possibly Amos.
Okay, Regine, how do I spell your first name?
Regine.
Okay, and your last name?
Varghis, Varugis.
And is Amos present with you?
He is.
Yes, I'm here.
Amos's last name?
Calendar, Callender.
Thank you. So let's have the two of you sworn. The two of you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, however you would like.
And Mr. Examiner, I want to add that I believe Ross Jarvis, LDC, or Maggie from LDC would also be part of this group.
Okay, appearing remotely then?
I'm Nikki Wilson.
Oh, okay, and you are?
Wilson.
Oh.
each of them as. Yeah. And then Ross will not be joined.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Hausen, let's have you sworn as well. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So I'll leave to the three of you, how you would like to make the applicant's presentation.
Maggie, if you want to start, then we could wrap up with the architectural portion.
And so I'll have you come to the podium.
Can you center the site plan?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this project will demolish the existing residence, the existing temple, and one or two additional accessory structures. It includes the decommissioning of the existing well, as Andrew's already mentioned, as well as the decommissioning of the existing septic system. We will be constructing a new combined temple and residence on the site. As part of that, there will be two septic systems, one for the temple, one for the residence, that will be permitted under Thurston County Environmental Health. The new well will also be permitted under Thurston County Environmental Health. We are proposing a 15-stall parking lot, which is more stalls than are currently on the site. And we are proposing 3 stormwater facilities that were designed per the Thurston County Drainage and Design Erosion Control Manual, which also adhered to the 2024 Department of Ecology Stormwater Management Manual for Western Washington.
So
what the city follows.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so the county's is a little stricter in some aspects because it took the Washington State Manual and added a few more requirements. So as part of that, we're proposing 2 bioretention facilities and 1 underground infiltration trench for the roof runoff. That infiltration trench will be considered an underground injection control well, which will be registered with the Department of Ecology. Additionally, as part of this project, we are adding a fire truck turnaround at the end of the access. So that way fire trucks can actually access the site in case of a fire or emergency. I think that's a general overview. Regine and Amos, do you have anything you'd like to add specifically about the structure?
I can speak to a few aspects of the project. So when the client initially came to us, there were existing structures on site, which they requested that it be consolidated into one structure, which will house both the temple and the monk's residence. So that was the aim of the design, to create a cohesive master plan where people have improved wayfinding and are able to peruse the site on a daily basis. So the average daily use of the project is people visiting in one-off groups. So it is not anticipating a larger crowd. And on an annual basis, there are 2 events where there is an annual festival, which will anticipate a larger crowd. But the intention of the client is to apply for special use permits for those particular events. But on a day-to-day basis, we feel like the project is providing adequate parking, adequate wayfinding around site for people to enjoy and travel around the campus. The building itself will house a temple in the center and a monk's residence on the backside. So this is projecting for a lot of the future requirements as well. And while the construction is happening, some of these existing facilities will get improved, and the utilities will be brought up to the county and city codes as required. And the hearings examiner had a question about the existing well and why that is being decommissioned. One of the findings, according to the county review, was that there is an existing septic tank on the adjacent property, because of which the existing well on site falls within the 100-foot radius of their septic tank. So that was the trigger point for decommissioning the existing well and then relocating it to a location where it could be clear of such overlap. So that was the trigger for decommissioning and thereby relocating the well, and same with the septic tank as well. Some of these facilities were undersized for future uses. And so the intention is to bring it up to the requirements for these additional bigger buildings. So that is where the changes came about.
Thank you. Just a couple of collective questions. The residential portion, how many beds or is it designed to accommodate?
The client has requested 3 bedrooms. We have a conceptual layout accommodating that size. And there will be very minimal area provided for, a kitchen and a dining area, but we do not anticipate it being a single family residential. The way the campus functions is a lot of the people visiting bring in food for the monks, and a lot of potluck style engagement happens. So we are not anticipating that this will be a full-fledged residential with its own kitchen and all of those facilities. A lot of it is just for the monks to be present when people are visiting. So same with the kitchen that will be part of the temple as well. It is very much just a place for heating up food, and help with those event facilities. Yeah.
And the reason I'm mostly interested in that residential use determines both wastewater management as well as parking requirements. And so to what extent has that number, the 15 stall parking, is reached? How? Why is that number deemed to be a good number for the facility?
We base those counts based on the Thurston County's requirement for this particular zone and the use of the property. We are basing this as a church, an assembly space with non-fixed seats. And according to the Thurston County Code requirements for parking, it was established that 17 stalls are required, and we are allowed up to 2% reduction. And so we cut it down to 15 stalls. But of course, if there is a requirement, we can provide opportunity for people to, again, further park on the available space on site. So if there is overflow parking, we are able to accommodate that on a lot of the existing area around site. So it was based on Thurston County requirements, which we are hoping that we will be vested into as we transitioned to City of Yelm's building permit process.
Well, you anticipated my next question, which was, if at any time the available parking was inadequate, what happens to the overflow parking? Because it quickly becomes problematic on the highway. And so there needs to be an ability to self-contain parking within the site if the parking lot itself is not adequate. But what's just been explained is that there is additional room within the site to park if that's necessary. Is my understanding correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So we had multiple rounds of review with the traffic engineer, the county officials, who all reviewed how, like I mentioned, a special event happens, and it has been verified that there is enough space on site to accommodate such overflow parking. And you will see that happening where in case of a special event, there is enough space for traffic to travel through these main SR 510 road, and same with around the site as well. It has been verified that both the parking and traffic needs during these special events can be met with existing available area.
And the last one is just one of these nerdy questions. The stormwater design with the combination of bioretention and underground infiltration. I'm just curious, given Yelm's unique groundwater conditions, the porousness of its soils, the groundwater sensitivity, what's the goal of this specific stormwater design? What's it meant to do?
I will
So
defer to Maggie on that, yeah.
okay. The underground infiltration trench is only handling the roof runoff, which that doesn't require any treatment. Whereas all of the parking lot and then also some of the sidewalk will go to the two bioretention facilities, where the bioretention soil media will provide its treatment or metals treatment, as it's now called, before it infiltrates into the native soils.
So it's ultimately an infiltration system, but through a filtered process. Okay, where the other is clean water, or what are they called? And so, okay, that makes sense. The last thing is not so much a question as a comment. If this project had been processed as a Yelm project, would it have any mountain pocket gopher obligation as the rebuilding of an existing facility?
Yes, I don't know, do you want to take this one, Gary?
Well, it would have been problematic because I believe there is a population of pocket gophers on this property.
I see.
And we are working on a habitat conservation plan, but it is not complete.
Okay, and I thought it may have simply been exempt as an existing structure, but if it's not exempt, then it would have had real.
It would have been on hiatus until we complete our HCP.
Okay, so the annexation to the city is a significantly important benefit to the temple then in that respect.
Well,
Or I guess not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because it could have processed out of the county.
it's kind of fortunate that they started in the county and were able to
As far as they could.
advantage of the county's HCP.
Okay, yes, got it. Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions of the applicant. So we've heard from city staff, we've heard from the applicant. This is the opportunity for members of the public to be heard if they wish to. It is possible that this large crowd is here to give testimony or simply is curious. We'll find out. So are there individuals who would like to be heard relative to this application? Yes. If so, I'll have you come to the podium.
This is going to be very brief.
Okay, let's have your information first, your name.
Stephen Craig,
Mr. Craig, let's have you sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And your brief testimony.
Okay. This is an incredibly exciting project for the entire community, and it's going to add to what is already a very diverse community. And so I personally fully support the project, and I would just add the architect that has designed the temple is well known by the city because he also designed a 5-story building that I commissioned to be designed for the city of Yelm. And he worked very closely with the administration of the temple in developing this beautiful design. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who would like to be heard? The record should reflect that there are no takers. And so we've heard from city staff, we've heard from the applicant, and provided the opportunity for the public to speak. In certain instances, I would come back to the city for a response, but I don't think there's really anything to respond to in this instance. And therefore no rebuttal testimony from the city is necessary. I'm going to go ahead and approve the application as proposed with the conditions recommended by city staff. You've heard the sorts of things I'm interested in, making sure that this is a good fit with its surroundings. And the applicant's team have convinced me that it is a good fit in all of those important respects: transportation, frontage improvements, utilities, the things that every landowner, every user of property is expected to meet, whatever that use might be. And I'm satisfied that all of those have been met. And I agree with the witness that this is an exciting project for the city and is a welcome one. By happy coincidence, I approved a Buddhist temple in Tumwater a month ago. So it seems to be on a continuum. So what I need to now do is reduce my oral decision to a written one that is that perhaps sounds simple. It is not quite as simple as it sounds, because I must create a list of facts on which my decision is based. That list of facts is a lengthy one, which is then followed by legal conclusions that are drawn from those facts, which then support the decision. And it's primarily the findings of fact that I must create that take me a bit of time. So while I have orally entered this decision today, my actual decision, the one you can rely upon, will be a few days away, perhaps a week away. Not more than 2 weeks, hopefully a week. I certainly understand the importance of my decision so that other permits can follow. I will therefore attend to this as quickly as I can, have this decision back to the city as promptly as possible so that follow-up work can be undertaken. Want to thank everyone who has participated in this excellent presentation, and I appreciate the information that the staff has provided. I understand the project well. I see no difficulties with it. And again, I'm approving the project. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.